Hi everybody and welcome to another piano review here at Merriam Pianos. My name is Stu Harrison and today we're reviewing Yamaha's YDP-144 Arius. This is an extremely popular home digital piano. There are many thousands of these units out there across the world in people's homes, in teaching studios all over the place, and so this is a chance for us to get under the hood and share with you our impressions of this instrument. If it's the first time that you're visiting the channel, we would really appreciate if you subscribed to us, hit that notification bell so that you can go back and watch all the new videos that we're constantly putting out about pianos, how to play piano, piano acoustics, digital pianos, all thing pianos pretty much. So without any further ado, let's get started with the YDP-144 right away. So we're in front of the YDP-144. This is part of the Arius series, or the YDP series from Yamaha, that is just found everywhere you look, all over the world. It's one of their most popular digital pianos that they've ever created, this YDP series. And the 144 is kind of where it starts out. This is the baseline. It is quite a bit different as you go up from the 144 to 164 to 184 in terms of the capabilities of the piano. The actions change, the sound engines change. It's actually a little bit surprising that Yamaha sort of lumps them all in as the same series because there's so many fundamental shifts and differences from one to the other. However, this is what we are taking a look at today, and the reason I wanted to start with this model is because of its popularity. Nothing even comes close. This goes also right up head-to-head with instruments such as the Kawai KDP-70, KDP-110, probably a little closer to the 110. It would also be a really good comparison to, say, a Roland F-140 or possibly a Roland RP 102. So lots of good comparisons in there. So we're going to take first a peek at the sound. We're going to talk about that sound engine first up. The YDP-144 has CFX sampling inside it. So that means for the main acoustic piano sound, we have that CF sound engine. It's a very high quality piano sample. There's lots to like about it. It's a very clear tone, and we'll just... so lovely, singing tone. There's actually a lot of complexity in that sound as well. And something that people actually really like about it, or the people who don't like it, mention the same thing that people who do like it, which is it's a very stable tonal profile. In other words, you're not getting a huge difference from a very dark sound, sonorous sound, when you're playing in the lower dynamic ranges to the top end. So it's a consistent tone, it's a very predictable tone, and certainly, I enjoy it. Anybody who's been lucky enough to play a real concert grand CFX knows that that is certainly a finely crafted instrument. It's very enjoyable to sit down behind that piano and just let her rip. The instrument has a pair of 8-watt speakers. That is more or less plenty of power for somebody playing in a relatively small room just for personal use. When you start to get into the YDP-164, 184, you start to get some of those beefed up speakers, and certainly the comparison to like the Kawai KDP-110 that actually has 40 watts of sound. It's more than double the power. Doesn't necessarily mean double the decibels, as one of my commenters pointed out. It's not a linear comparison between wattage and decibel output, but certainly there's a little bit more beef there. But if you're using it for personal use in a relatively small space, you know, a pair of 8-watt speakers is just fine. That's just as powerful as like the best portable little Bluetooth radios that you're going to be, you know, carrying around from JBL or anything like that. So if you're familiar with what that gives you in terms of power, that's pretty much what you're going to be getting here. It also comes with 192 watt or notes of polyphony, which is plenty again for personal playing. And even if you're going to layer up 1 or 2 tracks of playback from recording or playing back a MIDI track, there's no issue with 192 watt or notes of polyphony. Got watts on the brain. And going through the rest of the sounds, that's where we also start to see some really, really nice stuff out of the E-pianos, particularly. Now, we have this hooked up to the Yamaha software, and that's this little cable that you can see right here. And I really like how Yamaha has done this software. I think Yamaha and Roland, between the two of them, both have done an excellent job of creating applications for external devices to help control it. Roland uses wireless, Yamaha uses a wired. Both have their pros and cons. The thing I like about wired is there's absolutely no fiddling with settings. You just plug it in, it's good to go. And there's also no lag. It's a very, very low latency type of an environment. So there's certainly some benefits to that. So if I go into the rest of the sounds, yeah, so really there's kind of this piano room, as it's called. And so you've got 2 different samples that you can choose from. The CFX Grand, which is this, or the Pop Grand, which is probably a C7. And then for each one of those samples, you can apply a different kind of environmental effect, which is really just reverb. So, whoop. So here is concert hall. Here's chamber. Here's club. And then bone dry. And so that's the piano room. You've also got a number of other options to play with that sound as well, which is great. We were already just talking about environment and the depth of the environment that you can do, which again is really just playing with reverb levels, the wet versus the dry levels. So this is completely wet, where you're only hearing the reverb signal, versus completely dry. So very, very easy to manipulate those types of settings. Then you've got damper resonance, individual key settings, volume and tuning for each individual key, which is actually a fairly advanced feature for an instrument like this. And then you've got touch curve. So it's right now set to medium, and this is how it interprets your input. It sort of changes your impression of how heavy the keys are. You know, anytime you see these instruments talk about the touch curve or touch manipulation, it's not actually changing the mechanics of the key. The key never actually changes how heavy it is or the force it takes to get it in motion, but it's just changing your impression of it because it's giving you different feedback at their different velocity levels. So you've got all of that to play with when you're in there. So that's the piano room, which is a piano-focused environment where you have, several different settings to play along with. Then you've got all the other voices. The YDP-144 doesn't come with a huge variety of voices, but the quality of the voices are pretty good. So now that we're in just regular old voice mode, now we've got CFX Grand, the Mellow Grand, pop grand. Stage piano. And then we've got DXE piano. And harpsichord. Vibraphone. Pipe organ. And jazz organ. And the left pedal is actually preset to turn the Leslie on and off. And strings. You can also activate the layer mode, which is again just layer. There we go. All voices, piano. So and then it's also really easy to manage the volumes on that as well. So if you turn the string way down, you can barely hear it. And then string way up, now it's way up there. So you've got very, very easy management of the balance of those two tracks as well. This has also got a recording function within the app, which is very, very easy to use. So this is where you can pull up songs that are already pre-recorded or create your own recording. And you can choose whether you're recording it as a MIDI track or as an audio track, which is a very, very, in my opinion, an important feature, because there's some of us who want to be able to just dump this as a MIDI file, or sometimes it's easier to just have it appear as a, an MP3 that you can share with a friend. And so we should get this back now. And then it gives you the option of whether you want to save that or cancel. We'll just hit cancel. But also very, very easy to use. So that's a discussion of the sound capabilities and the various features and functions you have to manipulate and edit the sound on the YDP-144. So we've got a small but pretty high quality set of samples. I'd say the quality is definitely focused more towards that CFX piano samples, where you're really hearing that depth of tone and the complexity of the tone. You've got some cool features to be able to edit a few of the parameters of the piano to kind of suit your needs. So you can edit the touch curve, you can edit the damper resonance, and you can edit the reverb, and also get in and edit individual notes for any reason if you wanted to do that. And a very handy recorder that's built right into the app as well. So we're going to get a couple of the specs up on the screen for you to take a peek at, and then we're going to be back with a quick discussion about action. So thank you so much for being with us so far. You're watching the YDP-144 review at Merriam Pianos. We'll see you in a second. So the 144 features Yamaha's GHS Action, and if people have watched other reviews, the GHS Action to me has a few drawbacks to it, but it also has a few strengths. And so it's one of those actions that's probably best just played yourself in person, so you can kind of make those determinations on a personal level, because, you know, feel and sound, these are all just so subjective. But here's what's good about the GHS Action to me, is that it's a very solid action. There's very little give to it. And so for a lot of intricate playing, I find that it works really, really well. So somebody maybe playing some classical music and using this as sort of a quick practice instrument might find this to be pretty accurate. And, you know, the fact that the keys don't have a lot of give to them gives them a greater sense of control. Those are all very good things. I also find that I like the way that the key bed on the YDP, or the GHS I should say, also feels really good. It's not super hard. It's not super soft. It's kind of right in the middle of like where the Roland and the Kawai is. The Kawai is quite a soft key bed action. Roland has probably one of the harder key bed sort of impact feels of actions out there, and Yamaha's right in the middle. It also has a black matte surface on the black key, which is great. The few things that are missing on the YDP-144 that you get when you get into those higher level YDP series is it's got a double sensor instead of the triple sensor. That's going to be fine for playing, but you might notice some accuracy issues if you're using this for triggering on software. Probably not a big deal for most people. And then there's no texture on the top of the white key. It's just a polished white key surface. So for people with fairly dry fingers and people who are staying nice close to the key and playing a lot of more technical classical stuff, this is either going to be a non-issue or it might even be a benefit. For people who are more percussive players, and I would put myself in that category of being more of a percussive player, especially when I'm doing some R&B stuff or some jazz stuff, that can become a bit of a hindrance because there's just no give when your finger lands on that key. It does wind up over time pulling the pads back from your fingernails. Kind of gets a little bit uncomfortable. The other thing is, because you're playing more percussively and there's just no give to the key, you wind up wearing this action out a little bit quicker. So I would say for beginners and people who are more finesse players or you know, earlier classical players, not romantic players getting into rock or Chopin or anything like that, this is going to be a really fun action, no issues whatsoever. For people who kind of attack the keyboard with a bit more physicality, this is going to maybe feel a bit too stiff, and you may actually wind up wearing the action out a bit earlier than you were hoping. Anyway, that's our discussion on the action, and we're going to come back in another quick second and finish up with a discussion of a few of the other features on this instrument and let you enjoy the rest of your day. So, see you in a quick moment. So the 144 comes with its own matching cabinet. It's a very nicely built matching cabinet. It's solid, it's easy to put together, and that also includes a triple pedal with brass pedals I mean, it feels like a real set of pedals. They've done a nice job of the pedal set. They've done a nice job of the cabinet. It comes in default in this matte rosewood, which is pretty popular, kind of found throughout the piano industry. It comes with a music stand, which is great. It comes with the USB port, which you've already seen, and it comes with 2 headphone jacks, but no discrete 1/4-inch audio out. So what we've had to do is we have taken a stereo jack out of one of the headphone jacks and split that into our interface. That's what you're hearing at home. which means that the local speakers here are defeated. So I'm actually not hearing anything out of the local speakers right now. That's something that Yamaha has addressed, as well as several other companies, the ability now to turn on and off the local speakers, so that we can get around this fact. But generally speaking, if you are looking for the YDP-144 to plug into another system, you may want to look in a different direction where you've got some onboard or discrete jacks out. If not, it's not a huge deal. You just get yourself a little adapter and you're all set to go. It's about 120 pounds or 130 pounds, so this is a two-person move in most instances, unless you have way more gym time than I do, because what are you going to do? But it's relatively portable if you need to move it around the house and you've got one other person to give you a hand. Nice, easy master volume control, and as is always great with digital pianos, a cover so that when you're not using it, you can keep that dust out of the electronics and the mechanics. It's always important for any digital piano when you can help it. So thank you so much for watching. This has been our full review of the YDP-144. Like I said, be sure to check out some of that software that goes along with it. Really makes the experience that much more fun, and it avoids you having to get into a lot of these shortcut key commands. And we're going to do some comparisons on this 144 too, so please watch out for that on the channel as well. We'll be comparing this to the KDP-110. We may get this up against the Roland F-140 because it's virtually at the same price point as well. So we'll see you back for more. If you have not subscribed, we would really encourage you to do so, because you'll be notified every single time we do come out with a new video. So happy shopping, enjoy your piano playing. My name is Stu Harrison. This has been the Merriam Pianos YouTube channel. We'll see you back for more shortly.